Welcome to This Team Is Killing Us, a podcast about what the Carolina Panthers do to good people. She is Lauren Brownlow. I am Dimitri Ravanis. And Lauren, what is killing me today is I think this is probably going to be our last episode before guys start getting cut.
I mean, it's actually crazy. Like, you forget sometimes because, like, I'm so used to the college football calendar still, I think, just
right.
in general, that, like, I was literally looking at my Google Calendar, and I'm like, oh, my God, preseason starts when? What?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah, the Panthers, so we are recording this on Thursday the 17th. If you're watching it on the day it comes out, it'll be the next day, the 18th. So the Panthers will be 4 days away from reporting to camp. We are going to be gone the next 2 weeks because I will be out of the country. By the time we come back, at least the first round of cuts will have happened. And I think it is going to be, I don't think the first round of cuts for the Panthers are going to be without names we know, maybe not guys that were expected to contribute significant snaps, but I think we're going to know some of the names that are gone before we get down to big decisions.
Yeah, it's crazy. It goes fast, but that's why the NFL has become basically like a year-round event at this point, almost. But yeah.
Right, it's the stepping stones theory, right? Like they give you a little bit to get you from, you know, the things that make the big money, the TV event that is the draft to the beginning of the season. They give you these little stepping stones along the way to make it not feel so long, and it never does. All right, so let's start with camp. There are going to be a lot of stories, obviously, that we talk about, that other Panthers podcasts and writers talk about. I don't think there's anything bigger than the passing game, and I mean that all around. I don't just mean Bryce. I also mean the top receivers, you know, the inclusion of Teteroa McMillan, the growth of Xavier Legette and Jalen Coker. And then you also have these interesting things like David Moore, like Hunter Renfrow. Like, I think there is something interesting literally at every level of the passing game.
Yeah, and I would even throw like Dave Canales into that mix as well, like in terms of how, you know, he showed certainly throughout the latter half of the year, more so than the first half or so, that he can get this passing game. He can call plays and, you know, do things to make this passing game work as well. And he's going to have that pressure on him too. I think there's a lot to prove for a lot of people. And that's what I think makes it interesting as well, is like, yeah, it did start to kind of come together. Maybe not as consistently as we would have liked, but it did start to kind of come together, and you saw what it could be. And so now, like, can they actually like put all of that together and make it into something more consistent? Because Lord knows it's going to have to be extremely consistent if this team is going to win football games.
That's right. I mean, consistency, I think, is, even though I think towards the end of the year, you saw Bryce more consistently be very good or great than bad, we did still see a little bit of bad, right? Like, so I think in camp, the ability to consistently have him throw those balls that only his guys can get to, the consistency for Canales to keep making the calls that are unique patterns coming out of the backfield, exploiting one-on-one matchups wherever he sees them. I'm with you. I think that this team, I buy into this team is poised to take a leap forward. I just think that there is some optimism on our parts to say that, because the evidence is not super clear yet. It's there. It feels like it's there, but it's not like a no-brainer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you said optimism, and I reacted with fear, which I feel is only appropriate.
Right.
But I get it. Yeah, I mean, I don't leap. We'll see. I don't know if I'm ready to leap yet.
Yeah.
Not much of a leaper myself, not a great athlete. But I just think I do think they have the capability, certainly offensively. I think defense, as we know, is like the big concern. And so you're going to have to put up a ton of points. I'm not worried about Chuba Hubbard. I do still mostly think that the offense will be headed in the right direction. The passing game as well, Bryce, all of it. But I'm just intrigued because I know Bryce is probably going to feel like he has a lot to prove. A lot of guys on this offense, I think, are going to feel that way. Like Xavier Legette, can he hang on to the football? Like, you know, you've got Jatavian Sanders, the new big thing at tight end, but then Trimble, he gets like a short-term deal, but can he convince them to stick around for longer? Are they going to compete? Like, just all kinds of, like, I think interesting and intriguing storylines that at least for now, I certainly don't worry about like it fracturing the team or anything, but it's just like things to follow and stuff, a lot of stuff to prove for a lot of guys.
Well, we'll get to the fracturing the team thing in just a second, because there are, we're not talking about a quarterback battle, but there are some interesting position battles. Mm-hmm. And I don't think any of them are going to fracture the team, but certainly guys always have the dude they prefer to play with, right? Yeah. Before we get to that, though, I want to double down on the mystery and the optimism because of construction at Bank of America Stadium, and because they have now moved training camp to Bank of America Stadium. There's going to be a whole lot of take our word for it about guys' development, because fans, and I believe it's only select media that are going to be in for what are considered open practices. No fans, not a huge media contingent this year. That is just the reality of stadium upgrades. But boy, what a year to hide it all from the public.
Yeah, I mean, I like at least the fan part, I think would have been, that's an interesting thing to not have. I don't feel like it's happened very often, if ever, before in team history that they haven't had, like, and even when the team sucks, like,
remember last year, right? Like, remember the fanfare around people coming out, particularly because it was in South Carolina, around people coming out to CXL.
Exactly. Right. So, like, I mean, you do, that will be somewhat missing, and it's certainly like not ideal when you're like not getting people to show up as consistently, probably to like make your trade, to like say, oh, fans can't come out to this like usually free thing.
Right. Did you see this week Dave Tepper he was talking about Charlotte FC and the fact that they had 3 games total, I think, from that Club World Cup. And he was talking about, how many people have come out to a Charlotte FC match, and you look in the stands and it's all purple and teal, and it's just great. Charlotte is clearly a soccer city. And I think taking free football away from Charlotte fans is just more proof that he is very happy with Charlotte being a soccer city.
Like, what? My guy. Just, you know what? You get around it by just saying football. It's fine.
Oh, very true. I had not thought about that.
To use a soccer metaphor, my guy can't stop scoring own goals.
All right, let's talk about what will be happening on the field as we sort things out in training camp. I have 4 positions that I am positive are in flux, are in competition for the starting spot right now. I have one that could be. The biggest is going to be free safety. I think the Panthers have sent a lot of signals that they think Lathan Ransom is a strong safety. Well, that is what Trayvon Mooring is as well. So now you come down to Nick Scott, who got re-signed on a 1-year deal after last season. 30 tackles in 10 games last year, or Damani Richardson, undrafted free agent, signed last year. He actually looked really good in limited action, and don't get me wrong, I wish we had upgraded at that spot, but I came out of last season feeling pretty good about his trajectory.
Yeah, cautious optimism again, because like just looking at I mean,
let me put it this way. Let me put it this way.
Perspective to look at, those are the names that are competing for.
Agreed. Let me put it this way. If Damani Richardson was the depth, I would feel really good about this secondary.
100%. Even if they both were the depth, you know what I mean? Like, you feel great. But it's just like the fact that and then you look behind them and you're like, uh-oh, where's everyone? Uh-oh. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's, there's going to be a lot asked of Mooring and of the corners. Not to say that either one of these guys are not NFL bodies. They are, but I think NFL body is the bare minimum of expectation for being on an NFL roster, right?
NFL body currently enough to get you in the Carolina Panthers safety depth chart. So,
right, exactly. Not ideal. The next one's competition. This is weirdly, this is the one that has been talked about a lot, and I guess it is because Eddie Pinheiro is gone, is kicker. I mean, Ryan Fitzgerald, the rookie they signed out of Florida State, seems to have the inside edge, but nobody is committing to anything. It's also been floated that maybe whoever starts at kicker next year is not on this roster yet. That it might be a add in camp kind of situation.
I could see that. I mean, like, no offense to Fitzgerald,
Yeah.
who is not, Gano, but like it just there's a certain amount of like FSU kicker
Right.
trauma that I have to unpack. But no, I mean, it's not to mention like watching some other like Aguayo, like a seemingly no-brainer guy, like
Right.
suddenly collapse into a So I mean, I kicker is one of those things that like it's like to me it's the most like a goalie in hockey, in that like if you let him get hot and you ride that hot streak, and then when it like, and I don't mean like every goalie, I mean like your average goalie, and then like when that hot streak falls apart, you're like, well, I guess I'll find another one.
The guy that Fitzgerald is competing with, at least that is on the roster right now, is Matthew Wright, who has consistently worked since 2020. Since 2021, when he was the Jaguars kicker, he has not stayed on a single team for an entire season.
Not
technically, he did spend all of 2023, his entire NFL 2023 calendar with the Panthers, but that calendar was one game for him. So it is, look, he's been consistent when he gets in, but the fact that he has not been able to hold on to a job does not bode well. I mean, it reeks more of maybe they don't think the kicker is on the roster yet, rather than we cannot decide between this guy and the rookie that everybody kind of consensus agreed was the best kicker coming out in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I would be surprised if Fitzgerald didn't end up winning out, if those are the options that they have.
I think so too.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they bring someone else in too. I swear, whoever it is that eventually figures out like how to actually like get these kickers to where they need to be. I'm not being disrespectful to kickers. I know it's not easy. Like, I get it. But the fact that there's like whoever can like hack the code somehow and like figure it out is going to make a lot of money. I feel like, because
I think that as we get further and further away from those years of like, Adam Vinatieri is an not automatic field goal, but like, you're not going to do better than that. Peak Justin Tucker, you're not going to do better than that. I think the further we get away from that, the more as Panthers fans, we start to, and I don't think that Panthers fans as a whole have been vehemently anti-John Casey for this long. Obviously, there is the big single moment. I think we've gotten far enough away that people recognize how fortunate the team was to have a reliable dude like that. But I think
there's nobody that they've loved as much since, even with that mistake.
So this is the thing. I think the further we get away, the more clear it is, not just with the Panthers, but with every team in the league, that the Justin Tuckers, the Adam Vinatieri, like, that's a rarity when it comes to kickers these days. It's not like the old days of Morton and Gary Anderson just sticking around for 20, 25 years in the league.
That's what I just genuinely don't understand it on some level. Because I don't know. Maybe there's probably a lot. Like, we tried to kick field goals famously for our old radio show. It's not easy. I'm not saying that it is, and I get that like sometimes even the easiest thing can become more difficult if you have like the yips a little bit. But the way Graham Gano could like hit a 57-yarder and then miss an extra point used to just send me into histrionics. I just was like, I don't understand how you are this way. Like, I don't get it. So you're right.
The next position battle is one we've seen for 2 years now. Austin Corbett or Cade Mays, who is going to be the starting center. I personally like Mays starting at center because Corbett can do so much more. I would rather him be that swing lineman.
I was just going to say the same thing. Like, I want the swing to stay the swing in that way. And because there's going to be injuries at other spots. And
for sure,
you'd like to see him be available to do whatever it is that he needs to do.
Yeah. The last one that I'm going to give you that I think is definitely a battle is going to be tight end. And part of it is because Tommy Tremble is coming in hurt, right? Right now, most people, like, I checked this on 3 different like projected depth charts sites. They all list Trimble above Jatavian Sanders. I think
they don't know.
Well, I also think that even if that is the information they are getting from the Panthers, I think that might be, I think everybody in Carolina is thinking that's what it is right now, right? Like we're not planning, or if camp is successful, that will not be what it is for week 1.
I literally might play fantasy football again this year, just so I can draft Jatavian, because I feel that strongly about him. Having a big year, like genuinely. And so I think like if you don't watch the Panthers because he missed so much time, you would not look at his numbers and go, oh wow, like you wouldn't have the context to know like, oh, he was pretty impressive. And I love Trimble too, so like don't get me wrong, like I'm not gonna, I'm not picking sides, but like Jatavian can just do so many game-breaking types of things, and I feel very optimistic about him, even if he's not the starter, which he may not be. They may want to go with a guy like Tommy. A lot of guys in the locker room really like him and respect him, and I get that. And so I would have no problem. And I'm sure I'm not sure, but I'm pretty confident he's the better blocker of the two, probably. So like, yeah, you would want that, but then I mean,
well, I think what complicates all of this, well, two things that complicate all this. Number one is I don't think you can count out Mitchell Evans taking over, the rookie out of Notre Dame, overtaking everybody. That's one. The other is that the Panthers played 72% of their offensive snaps last year with a single tight end and a single running back. This is not a team that runs out a lot of 2 tight end sets. So getting to the top of the depth chart is going to be about who they trust most in these situations. I'm with you. I love Sanders. I loved Sanders coming out of Texas. I think Sanders can do a lot. That's why I think you can't count out Mitchell Evans over Tommy Trimble. I know they like Trimble in the locker room, but Evans is that dude that you can just throw it up to, that he can go get it just because of his height. And I wonder what effect that's going to have.
You make good points. I do think, I'm not saying that like every team is like this, and I think it's not as much like this as it used to be. I think if you're good enough as a rookie, you're going to play and start whatever. But I do think that a lot of NFL teams do probably still lean the way of like, okay, if it's a rookie and if it's equal or more or less or comparable, and there's not going to be like a lot of drop off, they'd rather like ease the rookie into things a little bit, bring him in spot situations, see what he can do. I would be stunned if he came out of camp as the starter, right? Like I think like I see him usurping him throughout the season. I mean, potentially, sure. Although I'm so like all in on my guy Jatavian that I'm like, nope. Good for you, Mitchell, but no.
I mean, I'm with you. I thought that he was going to be the rookie that had the single biggest impact of anyone last year before the season even began. The other thing, too, to remember is even though they play 72% of their snaps with a single tight end, doesn't mean it's going to be the same one every time, but it's going to certainly change the amount of times you touch the ball if you're the number 2 guy on the depth chart.
And if you're Dave Canales, I mean, you're probably drawing up a few.
Right.
I mean, I would be. I'd be like, ooh, fun.
Well, especially if one of them is Jatavian Sanders, who you have seen take the ball out of the backfield and hurdle dudes. Like, that's a fun toy to have.
Like, I'll almost be a little disappointed if in the red zone we don't see them both at times. Because of the struggles they've had in the red zone. Like, now you have 2 guys that can go up and make a play for you instead of just one. So, I mean, not that you don't have receivers that can, but you know what I'm saying. Like, you
but I mean, look, if you, not only do you have 2 big bodies, but if you add the height that they added just in the rookie class with Evans and McMillan, you would have to see this like red zone lineup of just tall, gangly monsters out there for Bryce to throw the ball to in tight situations.
For sure. And I guess the worry I would have a little bit is that like if they do keep doing one tight end too, like if it's Trimble versus Sanders, not that they don't ever throw to Trimble, I'm not saying that, but I mean, if I'm a defense, I'm like, oh, they're throwing. Or they're coaching. It's kind of a giveaway. So if he starts, there's not as much clarity on that. And so, I love JT Sanders, man. I'm ready for the JT breakout season.
All right. Last one. This one, I think that they are going to go into camp with the assumption that DJ Wonnum is the starting linebacker on the right side, the right outside linebacker, the right edge. I am not totally dismissing the idea that either Scorton or Uman Mielen comes out of camp as the starter for day one. And if that happens, Is Wonnum cut? Does Wonnum stay around as depth? I'm not sure. I don't think it is a sure thing, particularly given Wonnum's injury history.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think though if he's healthy in camp and whatnot, I think it'll be okay in that way. And I think that there's a psychological element at play here too. It's not just NFL teams like wanting to prioritize their older players, and it's not just like a locker room thing. It's also a thing of like if you put it all in on a rookie that you haven't seen do it yet, and then they get in the actual games and it's not working as well. It can be more difficult to go back to that veteran guy and go, okay, sorry, like come on back and
Sure.
and give us, So I would be at least a little surprised if that were the case from day one. I mean, could I see it happening throughout the season? Of course, yeah, but I would be surprised if they just do that right away. But we'll see.
All right. So maybe because it's a second rounder versus a first rounder, this is not even a conversation worth having. But very similar to Frank Reich being told that Bryce Young is the quarterback, I do wonder if there is some pressure put on Canales of, look, we gave up assets to move up to get Scorton. Find a way to get him on the field.
Maybe, but that only just makes me think about David Tepper, in which case I'm like, clearly that man doesn't really give too much of a shit about defense, so
Right.
Probably not.
Right. That's very fair. Don't forget to do two things for me. Number one, like and subscribe to this podcast. Like the podcast, subscribe if you are listening. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the OG Triangle Media channel. Leave comments. All of that stuff helps more people find the show, and that's important as we get ready to kick off a new NFL season. That's number one. Number two, the Sports Podcast Festival happening August 23rd. That is my birthday, by the way. That would be a great birthday present, is to buy tickets to my show. Split Zone Duo, Ovius and Giglio, Big Screen Sports with Lauren Brownlow talking about the movie Necessary Roughness. Have you seen that movie in a long time, Lauren?
I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing. And I'm
really?
and I am actually going on a podcast with them this month in advance of this to talk about another movie I've never seen in full that you will probably not believe that I haven't seen in full, A Few Good Men.
Oh, really? It feels the only reason I'm surprised that you haven't seen it in full is it felt like during that time that I was leaving college and you were like in the heart of college, right? It felt like that movie was on TNT all the time.
It was, so I always saw pieces of it, but never like the whole thing. I mean, and also like, yeah, I mean, whatever. And it's quoted so much that you almost feel like you kind of know the gist, and so you're like, all right, I got it. And it's weird because I was obsessed with those like jury movies too, like any trial movie, and that's kind of their theme of this month. So,
okay,
anyway, I'll be on with them to talk about that.
I went on with them I think at the beginning of June. To talk about the college football recruiting movie, Johnny Be Good. Which we all agreed was terrible, but I'm very happy it exists. Well, here's what I will say, and I have said this for years about Necessary Roughness. All college football movies are bad, except Necessary Roughness, which may be one of the greatest movies ever made.
Wow.
Yes.
That's high praise from you.
How
dare you besmirch the program like that?
You know, everybody says that to me, and I like the program is fine. It's goofy.
It's goofy. That's why it's a good time.
But see, this is why Necessary Roughness. This is why I think Necessary Roughness is better. Necessary Roughness never takes a moment to pretend it isn't goofy, right? Like there is I personally love that movie. I'm very excited for this. Go to therialto.com. or etix.com to get your tickets. You can find the show there. Just type in Sports Podcast Festival. Type in the code SPF25 at checkout. You are going to get 50% off your second ticket. It's a buy one, get one half off deal. This show does not work if you do not show up. So please come on out. Kick off a brand new college football season with Lauren and I, as well as Ovius and Giglio, Big Screen Sports, and our headliners, Split Zone Duo at the Sports Podcast Festival, and come party with us at Bond Brothers East Side the night before, August 22nd. Hand in the Dirt will be on stage for what we are calling Night Zero at the Sports Podcast Festival, presented by our friends at Extra Points. All right, Lauren, let's talk about Joe Person's fan survey of the Carolina Panthers. But before we dive into it, before I hit record, you told me something I had not even considered might be a possibility.
Yeah, that I haven't. It came out on a day where I had like a lot going on, and before a weekend where I had a lot going on, so I didn't actually see this. I did pull it up because I like to at least like go over it before. But then I was like, oh, wouldn't it be interesting if Dimitri asked me some of these questions to see how I align, since I've not read through it yet, like how I align with the fans.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you every question on the survey.
Of course.
I'm going to hit some highlights for you. So first of all, let me say this, just as the big overall of the survey. The vibes around this team are very positive, at least according to this survey. So, Lauren, I'm going to ask you the first question that they asked everybody after Dave Canales' first season. How do you feel about the future of the franchise? Very optimistic, somewhat optimistic, to be determined, not optimistic at all.
Somewhat.
Somewhat is the most popular answer with 55.1%. I will point out 91% of respondents felt optimistic, somewhat or very. A very, very...
He won?
Yeah.
Are we okay?
A very small fraction of people, less than 2%, are not optimistic at all. That is a 180 from this time last year.
Suck it, Matt Rule. Okay, Mister. Oh, you guys aren't very patient. No, maybe we can actually tell when a coach is doing a decent job, even though the results aren't there.
Right. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most confident, how confident are you that Bryce Young is the Panthers quarterback of the future?
3.
Ooh, 3 has 33.8% of the vote. 4 leads the way with 47.9% of the vote. 60% of respondents, nearly 60% of respondents, just under, are at either a 4 or a 5.
I think you know my fear. Like my fear is just that it's not rational. Like it's not based on anything Bryce has done recently or anything. Well, it is somewhat based on things he's done before, but not and not. It's not even just him. It's just like me watching this league long enough to see guys that you see start out playing really well, and then all of a sudden it's like they hit a wall and it looks terrible again, and it's like oh man. But I want to believe. I was like, some of y'all don't seem to remember the Matt Moore or. To be fair, he's not. But like we were all excited about certain quarterbacks. Some of us were like, "Oh, this guy's gonna be the one," and then he gets in and he's good at first and then sucks. So yeah. But hopefully that those guys were way worse than Bryce. So like I'm talking myself out of it right now. I think 3 is about as high as I can let myself go without feeling nervous.
Okay. I want to skip around here. I'm not going in order that Joe Person did. I think it's important to ask you this before I ask you his last one. These are all questions that the fan base came back very positive on. What letter grade would you give Dan Morgan for his work since the last season ended?
B?
B is the most popular answer at 54%. 89% of respondents gave him a B or an A.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's fair. Like, I mean, I don't have a whole lot of qualms. Yeah.
I agree. I think B is a very, very fair grade for what we have seen so far this offseason. All right. Simple question. Thumbs up or thumbs down drafting Teteroa McMillan number 8 overall?
Well, you know my answer.
Well, your answer is overwhelmingly what people say. More than 87% of respondents say thumbs up to drafting Tet McMillan with the 8th overall pick.
That has floored me the most of any result that you've told me.
Here's my question about this. I wonder if you had asked this question Friday morning after round 1 before round 2 what it is. Because I felt very differently after rounds 2 and 3 than I did after round 1.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I was like, I bet you anything. It's certainly even. I want to say, like, I think a lot of people have talked themselves into it a little bit after the draft as well. So, like, I think even if you gave this survey like after the draft, I think people would be a little bit like, I don't know, man. Like, they maybe should have, like. I think you're right. The context of the next few days helps for sure.
I think that all of the stuff we have heard about how quickly Tedero McMillan connected, not just with Bryce, but also with XL and with the coaching staff, is a big sigh of relief. Because look, I mean, I was saying this all during free agency. I thought this team needed a playmaking X wide receiver. I did not think rookie was the way to go with that. But I'm going to trust that his teammates and the people that selected him really have seen what they're telling us they've seen. And that eases my mind a little bit.
This is really proof that like what I had written about at one point about like how thirsty we are for a good drafted wide receiver. Right. I think you can see why, like, yes, and I think you see people leaning into that, which is cool to see. But yeah, I am still surprised it was that high, because I've still had people come up to me and be like, I don't know about that pick, because they probably needed to go with some defense. Yep. And when I can talk to them about it, they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Overall, so let's get to the negatives. There are plenty of questions that fans have about this team. Lauren, I'm going to ask you, even though I know your answer.
I was going to say, yeah.
There are 3 options here. Your number one concern entering the 2025 season: the defense, Bryce Young continuing to develop, or kicking game.
Oh God, what the hell? The defense.
Right. The defense is I'm surprised it's not a runaway winner. But 54.3% say the defense, 43% say can Bryce continue to develop. I think the reality is that if you think that the bigger concern is Bryce, it's because you have PTSD from year one, right? From year one in the first 2 weeks. I think it is so clearly the defense.
Well, I guess I'm just surprised that they scored Bryce so optimistically before that, but then we're like, oh, that he continues to develop. Because here's the thing, people, he could develop into Patrick freaking Mahomes, and it won't matter if the defense sucks as much as it did last year.
Yeah, I think that is 100% fair. All right. I want to find the question so I can get the right stats here for you. So here is one. Again, I know your answer, I think. The Panthers gave J.C. Horn a new contract in March for 4 years, $100 million. Do you like it, hate it, or plain wait and see?
That's a tough one, because like I do hate it. But I also, it is like I've reached acceptance with it. So I am kind of like, what am I waiting to see? I mean, he could be like, I still think it was too much. So I guess I hate it. Yeah, I guess I would say that.
So you're in the minority in a big way. And I'm kind of surprised by that. 10.6% say they hate it. The winner at 45.9% is wait and see, but 43.4% like it. I am not surprised that wait and see is the winner. I am surprised by how big of a divide there is between like it and hate it. And I wonder if that is just about the popularity of JC with the fans.
Maybe so. And then it's also like, if you do know enough about this defense, you kind of understand that, like, okay, well, what the hell else were they going to do? Are they just going to let it be like safety, where you just look around and you're like, where's everyone? Yeah. So, it could be worse. It could have been a lot worse. And I think like probably the way people look at it too, which is honestly the only reason I even entertained the notion of like, wait and see. But I don't really believe that. I still don't like it. Because I think it's a lot. And yeah.
All right. Here is one. So I will tell you before I ask your opinion. Vegas stat projections project that Chuba Hubbard's production is going to go down this year from where it was last year. He was like right on the doorstep of 1,200 yards, like 1,195 or maybe even 1,199, right? So the question asked to fans was, how many rushing yards will Chuba Hubbard have this year? 1,200 or more, 1,000 to 199 or to 1,199, 800 to 999, or less than 800.
So this is tough a little bit, because obviously like having Dowdle will take away some, probably more than usual, because like there weren't a lot of other options that they used with any regularity last year, right? So that is one. And then obviously like the passing game being improved means that they don't just have to like hand to Chuba and pray to try to move the football. pray on first and second down and then try to ask Bryce to find someone on third and long and go 3 and out. Like, hopefully that's no longer in the equation.
I'll give you one more thing to add in there.
Yeah.
Those jet sweeps they were running last year with Raheem Blackshear, if you have the option to run those with XL this year, like
right. Well,
you might
they tried that
a
a time or two last year. They tried that.
They did. Blackshear and the little fella were
the little tiny guy. Yeah.
They were more often than not the guys that play went to. I wonder if having a better talent that you rely on for that might change the amount you pull that out.
But on the flip side of that, I don't think they will have, I hope not anyway, as many short drives as they did last year. So there will be more opportunity in that sense. I tend to go, was 1,000 to 1,200 an option?
1,000 to 1,199, yeah.
That's where I would lean. I'd love to say over 12 because, I love him so much. But I think you could have just as successful, if not more successful, a season and be right in that range. So I would go that.
So that is the most popular answer at 63.6%. But I do think it is really interesting that only 14% of Panthers fans who feel very optimistic about this team think that Chuba Hubbard is actually going to improve on his statistical numbers this year.
I wonder though, I don't know how many people are thinking about it like I was, maybe not that many, but I do think I think maybe some of the rationale though is that Chuba for portions of last season had to be the entirety of the offense. And so,
and I also think it is the fact that last year, you knew you drafted a guy you weren't going to see right away in Jonathan Brooks.
Exactly.
You knew what the struggles were with Miles Sanders. I think there are better spell options for him this year.
Yes, 100%. And that's really the biggest thing influencing me not saying over that amount. So I don't think it's I'd like to give us as fans a little more credit in that they see Dowdle coming in and whatever, and they're like, okay, and the passing game cooking, he's probably not going to get as much, which is fine.
I think he will. I think that there is a very realistic scenario where maybe not even realistic. I think there's a very necessary scenario where if this team is going to challenge to win a bad division or challenge to be one of the last wild card teams in, it can't just be Bryce taking a step. Chuba's got to take a step. XL's got to take a step. Everybody has to take a step
100%.
forward. And I think that if the offensive line looks more like they did in 24 than 23, I don't see a reason why that can't be a reality, that he gets
because the run blocking was always not in 23 as much, but if they were able to get anything going, it was usually because of Chuba dragging a few extra yards in 23. But in 24, the run blocking from jump was noticeably much better. It took the pass blocking, I think, some time to get figured out, and obviously all the stuff with Bryce and everything else. But I do think from the jump, the run blocking was much improved. That's always been a guy like Icky. That's always been one of his biggest strengths as well, blocking for the run. And so you saw a noticeable uptick there from the beginning of last year too, I think.
How many games will the Panthers win this year? Your options are 10 or more, 8 to 9, 6 to 7, 4 to 5, or 3 or less.
I think 6 to 7.
That's what I have been thinking. I'm starting to buy in on a level up a little bit more. 6 to 7 has 25% of the vote. The leader is 8 to 9 at 61.5%.
Christ.
Here's my question for you, Lard. Are you surprised to learn that at the extremes, people are way more likely to believe 10 or more than they are to believe 3 or less?
Okay, I don't even know this fan base anymore. I think honestly, this is what I think has happened to us. And this is what I'm guarding against for myself. And partly the dive I was doing in Panthers history, in my columns and stuff, that was part of the, my perspective coming back was oh, wait, we've had seasons before where we thought everything was going to be amazing and it ended up going to hell quickly.
Right.
And so I still have that trauma in me that I know that anything could go wrong at any moment. And so for me to even think, I don't even think I would have said, if you asked me before the Super Bowl season, if this team would win 10 or more games, I might be like, I don't know, I'm scared. Like, I promise you. So, like, the fact that people look at last year's team and, like, more people think they could win 10 or more, I'm like...
So I'll tell you what has inched me up closer to 9 as opposed to 7. I said this a few episodes ago. I don't think it is. Not only do I not think it's crazy, I think it is very likely this team starts out 4-0. And initially,
I hate you.
I know. Stay with me.
Do this to me. I hate you.
Initially, when I looked at it and said, okay, they should start 4-0, I was preparing myself for start 4-0 into 3-10, right? But if you're starting that way, even if you go on a 2-game losing streak, once you get one back, what's to say it's crazy that they get rolling and pick off one or two that at first glance it looks like they have no business picking off? I'm buying into this. You lost me
at 4-0, Dimitri. I'm so sorry.
I know. I'm buying into the higher side optimism on this team. Not 10 wins higher side optimism, but I am buying into this team can challenge to win a bad division.
Wow. Woo. Was not ready for that 4-0. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I honestly think it's maybe happened 3 times. I could be wrong. Maybe it's happened more times than that. I doubt it's been very many more, honestly. Like, and I promise you, you will be stunned at how many times they've started 0-1, even against some of the shittiest opponents you can imagine, even good teams. So for you to say 4-0, I'm like, in my lifetime, have not seen it. I go into every opener with mostly dread in my heart.
I think their toughest game in that first 4-game stretch is the Falcons at home. I don't see a reason they shouldn't beat the Jaguars. I don't see a reason they shouldn't beat the Dolphins. And I can't picture a world in which this team loses to those Patriots. Like, the vibes are so high here and they're so low up there.
Well, all it'll take is a shitty start to the season to have our vibes right back in the toilet. And all of a sudden, all it'll take is some Travis Hunter, like, going off, going crazy. He's, like, leading all the highlight shows, and the Panthers defense just, like, looking around like, what just happened? And oh, my God, I feel sick. With this defense, you can't, like, that's the problem. With this defense, you can't look at just the opposing offenses and go, oh, well, those offenses suck. Like, it doesn't work that way in this league. Like, you know that too. Like, how many shitty quarterbacks and, like, players did they let go wild on them last year? Oh boy, 4-0. I was not ready, Dimitri. Woo.